All right, today we're doing a creepypasta tier list, and we're going to start off with a classic 1999. A kid gets his own TV after complaining about not being able to watch his favorite show, and he stumbles upon a channel called Caledon Local 21 and recalls a few shows run by the same man. The shows were all incredibly disturbing, and eventually the channel and the man running it are both investigated by the police. The author publishes this story as a blog and updates it frequently for years, with local police allowing him to review evidence for the case. The narrator attempts to investigate and solve this mystery for himself, but eventually finds himself in too deep when he finds an email potentially coming from the mysterious showrunner, Mr. Bear.
When I was younger, 1999 was my favorite creepypasta, simply for the fact that it was like the scariest one that I could find because of like sadly realistic it was. Like, you can't even tell me there aren't people in the world who would like lure children into their house just to sacrifice them.
Yeah, it's unfortunately realistic in that sense. There are some parts, I did write this in my notes too, there are some parts of the story that did not feel realistic, like how the police just let the narrator go like through the evidence, go through the VHS tapes. I feel like I'm not fully like caught up with like how like the legal system works. I should know how it works, but I feel like this guy's not technically involved in the case. He's not a victim of the case, so he shouldn't be reviewing the evidence, and he's not part of the police, so he shouldn't be reviewing the evidence, especially since it's so gruesome, I guess. And I mean, I feel like the police officer, even though he's friends with the police officer that's showing him the evidence, he shouldn't be.
That's like a crime, I'm pretty sure, like in itself, showing someone who's not like required by law to see it, or not like an actual officer to see it. That's like actually illegal.
Yeah, it's definitely at least a little bit illegal. And also there's like a part where he's older and he's going to the part of town where Mr. Bear was, and he's like confronted by a bunch of teens, and he literally writes in the story like, I put on my best badass voice. And that was like, I was like, okay dude, like you're not in a Michael Bay movie. You don't need to be like, yeah, I'm badass.
The story also went like nowhere after a while. Like, I feel like it could have ended when it was revealed what Mr. Bear was doing, but it kind of just like went off into this whole subplot that made no real sense, and it wasn't really like good. Like, what do you mean Mr. Bear came back? What do you mean he's trying to get you? Like,
even then it didn't really go anywhere. It like there were 2 emails from the supposed Mr. Bear, and then it kind of just fell off. That's something I also put in my notes, is that the story just ends. There's no resolution to it. It never was followed up. And there were also just like a bunch of religious undertones in there that were meant to be scary, but just ended up just coming across like edgy. There's no real like substance to it. It's just like, oh, he's like, Mr. Bear is like a religious fanatic, but says nothing about it. Makes no bold statement. Just like, oh, how much edgier can I make this story?
And wasn't there something about him being in like a sewer drain, Mr. Bear? I think I remember that. Like, what was that?
I didn't write anything about that in my notes.
It must have been like a deeper part, because I was way more into it, and I was also like, I want to say like 10, so I didn't understand what the concept of writing. So I was like, oh yeah, this is real scary, guys. No,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't fully remember the sewer drain part. This was the first creepypasta I read. I went alphabetically. This was the first creepypasta. I don't remember the sewer drain part, and I didn't write anything about it. That might have been the part where he's confronted by the teenagers, and he's like trying to be Christian Bale. That's the name. He's the narrator just ends up trying to be Christian Bale in like The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I'm not the hero the city needs. I'm the one it deserves. I feel like if they continued the Mr. Bear investigating the narrator part, and like had it be like a cat and mouse, if it went on just a little bit longer and had a proper resolution, it would have been really interesting, but they kind of fumbled.
They definitely did. I just really think the beginning part's actually like where the good writing is, and we shouldn't focus like all on the negative, because like the whole like concept of the story of like this kid getting his own like bunny ear TV and discovering a secret channel, and like it secretly like turns out to be this like messed up twisted thing. It's just like, it's like a really cool concept, but also I feel like some scenes were like written and executed like really well. Like they made me feel sick like reading them and imagining them.
I will give you that. Reading some of this stuff did make me like feel sick, and the first entry is like by far the best written entry, and it's great, but it also sucks in a way because then it only just goes downhill from there.
Yeah, that's a problem. This guy thought he could write for longer.
It starts off strong, but it kind of fails to miss the mark at the ending, and that's you will find that is the case across like all except for 3 creepypastas in the rest of this tier list.
No.
Starting a story isn't as hard as people make it out to be. It's ending it on like a really effective note that is hard.
Yeah, it's like writing an essay and having to come up with that conclusion paragraph. There's like nobody in the world I know of that can write a great conclusion paragraph first try.
In conclusion, 1999 is, in my opinion, a C tier.
C? I would give it a B, just because it's very special to me.
That's fair.
I feel like I can agree with your C ranking. I only gave it higher because, like I said, it was one of my favorites for a really long time. So the only extra boost was that I liked it.
I also really liked it for a really long time, but like at 22 years old, I don't know. It's just not. It's not hitting me the same as 12-year-old Cody. So 1999 gets a C tier. Abandoned by Disney.
This one still freaked me out.
Yeah, man. The narrator of the story finds out about an abandoned resort in the Bahamas belonging to the Disney Corporation. Disney claims the resort, Treasure Island, was abandoned due to the waters being too shallow to safely operate. But the narrator doesn't buy it. He investigates the park's history and uncovers tons of corruption, eventually finding his way to the park. The park is desolate and empty, graffitied, smelling rotten, and harboring an unimaginable evil.
This one was actually like genuinely scary to me because I like abandoned places just kind of freak me out because like you never know who could be there or what could be there. I remember seeing a YouTube video once of like these YouTubers exploring an abandoned place, and there was this like cult of kids that came in like all dark robes, and all they did was explode a watermelon, but it's still like scary because you don't know what these places attract. I remember listening to it again. I was like 10, and I remember the picture of like photo negative Mickey popping up, and I was like so scared of it. I thought every time I was in the car, he was in the back seat of the car behind me. It's freaky.
I was also really freaked out by this one when I was younger, especially at the ending where the Mickey Mouse mascot, he literally goes to the narrator and he says, "Want to see me take off my head?" And he takes off his head and it's like yellow blood everywhere. That part, now that I'm older, is like it kind of lost me. It was like a very jarring shift because like the rest of this story is really based in reality, because there are a few parks that have been abandoned by Disney. Like there's Discovery Island, and then there was the water resort that's in Animal Kingdom or near the Chip and Dale Resort. So it's partially based in reality, and that's kind of what made it so scary for me. And then like adding the paranormal twist at the end, kind of like, I like paranormal stuff, but it kind of took me out of it. It was like, it was creepier when it was like a more realistic abandoned setting.
Yeah, like more like realistic, and it's abandoned and you find like maybe Disney secrets, not like a possessed Mickey Mouse.
I went through a few blogs researching this, and I found on Discovery Island there were like jars that were filled with like snakes and stuff. There was like bugs. There was like all sorts of like creepy stuff found in the parks, and it like stuff like that would have been freaky to find if the author put that details in like abandoned pets, obviously the abandoned like mascots and abandoned merchandise. Detailing that stuff would have been more creepy in my opinion.
Yeah, was the brain eating amoeba thing real?
Not to my knowledge. I remember that water park had like the brain eating amoeba story, but I don't think it's true anymore because they use because the brain eating amoeba is only in fresh water, and the water at the water park was chlorinated, so.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with still water.
I hate that still water trend on TikTok because it's not still water, it's stagnant water. Still water, you drink. Stagnant water, that's the dangerous one.
Yeah, that's what I meant, stagnant water. I thought it was stagnant water and that caused like bacteria and growth and whatever.
It is. And still water is like the like $7 water bottle you were handed the other day.
I wasn't handed it, I bought it.
This story was also really short. Like it was very short read. I thought it was longer when I was younger, but I guess like a lot of the creepypasta readers on YouTube, they kind of just like
creepypasta YouTubers, the ones that read them out, they're like, they drag it on for so long. Like they have dramatic pauses. They're like, and then I turn the corner, and then they add like a sound effect of like a creaky door or something, and then they add like music. I saw him. It was Barney the dinosaur. We don't need to be doing all that.
Who put the womp in the womp a bump a bump? Mr. Creepypasta, Creeps McPasta, all those. I mean, I get it. They have to. It's a scary story thing, but like.
One thing I will say that like I loved about the story was like how it was able to bring you into it. Like I remember just like listening to the video, but like in my mind I was like brought to like the abandoned place, and like the hair stood up on the back of my neck. Like I was in fight or flight because I thought that I was at an abandoned place and like I wasn't alone.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it like the immersiveness. That I can agree with. Again, I feel like it's really only that ending part that kind of fumbles it. And this is technically a 3-part creepypasta, but I'm only ranking the first part because that's the part that's on this tier list, and that's the part that we're most familiar with.
Yeah, so isn't the other part like some underground thing, like with the gas mask and like the cement thing in the basement? Yeah.
Once again, based in reality, because those Mickey Mouse gas masks were like real.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for Abandoned by Disney, I'm feeling a B tier.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. I think it's a B.
Great minds think alike. Ben drowned. A man gets an old N64 from his friend in college and looks for games to play on it. He gets a copy of Majora's Mask from a sketchy old man for free and plays it on his new console. The cartridge belonged to a child named Ben, the sketchy old man's grandson, and the spirit of Ben haunts and tortures the narrator. The narrator of the story even has video evidence of the events unfolding, and he delves further and further into madness with each blog post. He eventually frees himself from the grasp of this cursed game cartridge and urges his followers not to follow in his footsteps.
I love Ben Drowned. I think it's definitely a classic creepypasta, but it's like the story. I know like the whole like lost video game thing is like a overused like trope, or like kind of like the lost episode thing, but this one's like really good. Like I kind of like how it came with like the physical evidence, but also like the story behind it.
Technically, this was the first lost video game thingamajiggy. This was technically the first lost like video game cartridge, haunted video game type creepypasta, and it's one of the first and only ones to do so with like evidence of it. The video evidence for it went a long way for the story, and it's like it's not something you get, not just any gaming creepypasta, but any creepypasta in general. You will be hard pressed to find like photo evidence of it. And this guy came with receipts. He came with like screenshots, screen recordings, and at the time like modding an N64 game was like very difficult to do. So like it really made it more like believable.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I feel like the believability of it just made it better because of like exactly how hard it is to mod, but also because so many people like lacked the evidence to show like what they were talking about, that it was just like, yeah, this is just another one of those attempts at being scary. But this one was like, is it real or is it fake? Because this guy's got CVS receipts worth of evidence here.
Literally, I feel like the weakest part of the story is the written portion, at least the middle portion. So in the middle portion, there's a point where the narrator has to take a break from technology because he's just really not doing well mentally, and his roommate takes over the blog for a post or two. And the roommate's like, you know how when you're typing you have like a voice still, like you have your own reading voice. The quote unquote roommate's reading voice is like the exact same as the author's, maybe just a little bit more profane. And it's like kind of hard to believe it's just like, oh, this is just the same guy typing, he's just throwing a bit more fucks and shits everywhere. There's a part where he communicates with Ben, like the ghost, through Cleverbot. Do you remember Cleverbot?
Was that the bot that like it would look like a girl with like the cloud background, and you like type something in the chat? She's like, I cannot perform this action because it goes against my moral code.
That's exactly it. It was like proto chat GPT, and that's what the ghost Ben uses to talk to the narrator. I
forgot about that.
That also kind of like took me out of it. For the amount, it was like one of the first creepypastas I was introduced to. All of my big three are on here, but this was like one of the first three. I feel like for how much it's influenced and how long it's gone on, I believe it's still an ongoing blog, but it now has to do with like a cult. It's now more of an ARG type creepypasta than a lost video game, haunted video game.
No.
And it's still ongoing. And I respect that, even if like in the beginning, like again, the roommate and Cleverbot portions are a little weak, I can still respect it for being a classic.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm feeling A tier.
I was gonna say the same exact thing, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Look at that, sibling strike again. Ben drowned, A tier. Candle Cove. Do you remember Candle Cove?
Yeah, I remember watching it. What are you talking about?
This story is a blog post in which the narrator asks other users if they remember a show called Candle Cove. The narrator explains what Candle Cove is about, and other users chime in on what they remember about the show. They talk about how cheap and scary the show appeared, from the main antagonist, the Skin Taker, to the protagonist, Pirate Percy. The twist is that none of the disturbing events actually happened, as one user asked their mother about the show, revealed that the show was all in their collective imagination.
I definitely like Candle Cove a lot because it's short and it's simple and it's straight to the point, but I feel like it has like a nostalgic feel to it, because like I feel like now, since like mostly the generation that grew up with creepypasta are like older now, it like kind of resonates with the looking back at like nostalgic TV shows and like kind of having an idea of what all those details in the show were, but not really knowing, and then like someone adds something else on, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, and then just like kind of jarring to have like that, oh, you made that up, that was in your head, but everyone has the same kind of thing, like they all just made it up. It's just like, I don't know, it just gave like the perfect twist at the end.
I agree with like basically everything you just said, and to add on to it, I feel like it's also a creepy twist on like the Mandela effect. Like, you know how like
yeah,
people will remember things a certain way, or remember like massive amounts of people will remember Fruit of the Loom having like a cornucopia on their logo when it was never there. I feel like this story is also very reminiscent of the Mandela effect, and also like kind of really effectively uses it in a creepy way.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone has experienced the Mandela effect. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, every single person on this earth has experienced the Mandela effect in one way or another. You just don't know it yet.
I feel like the dialogue is also really expository. Like, why do you watched this show when you were like 5 years old? Why do you remember so many details? I feel like if they kept it just a little bit more vague, it would have felt a little bit more realistic. But that's really all I've got to say, is like I do like that it's short, but the dialogue wasn't hitting all the time.
Too realistic for little kids to remember.
I'm feeling Candle Cove in S tier.
I really don't have anything bad to say about Candle Cove. I think it deserves an S.
Candle Cove is now an S tier. This is one that I was unfamiliar with until I started doing this tier list, started researching the tier list. Yeah. Crybaby Lane. Have you ever read Crybaby Lane?
No.
An Emerson College graduate acquires an internship at Nickelodeon Studios. He is immediately put on the production team of Crybaby Lane, a horror special, and would talk about how creepy one particular writer on the team was. This individual, Peter Lauer, would show disturbing images and share grotesque ideas for what was supposed to be a kids' network movie. The narrator leaves the network, and while Crybaby Lane flops, ideas circulated by Lauer for the production of the movie go on to become popular Nickelodeon shows. Since you haven't read it, I'm just gonna read off like some of the notes I wrote for it. I wrote, "It's the most profane creepypasta I've read thus far." At that point, I hadn't read too many, besides like the classics that were like on this list, but like this one had like Sailor Mouth. Like it was bad, really bad. Not like, well, bad as in like there was like too much. It's like, okay, dude, like put soap in your mouth.
Yeah.
I also wrote that it feels more like the idea of a story. There's good ideas here, but there's like, it's not expanded upon. It's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like, given now what's come about Nickelodeon and the producers in that in that company, it's not far-fetched to like imagine that like one of the writers for a show had some really gross ideas, had some really disturbing content to share. When I say like some of the ideas shared by this writer went on to become popular Nickelodeon shows, it'll be stupid stuff like the writer Matt Lauer, he imagined a character with a big nose that was depressed all the time, and then Squidward from SpongeBob was created. That's genuinely something that happens in the story, by the way. I paraphrase, but that's something that happens. It's like he created a depressed big nose character, Squidward.
Oh my god.
The main characters were supposed to have vacuums to suck in ghosts. Danny Phantom.
I was gonna say it kind of, the Nickelodeon part reminds me of that one, the director of like iCarly and stuff, how he was like a messed up person. So I can see how you're like, that's not far-fetched, but like, I don't know, I feel like that's the creepiest part to me, how realistic that part is. The a bad Nickelodeon writer. That guy was such an awesome person to like the actors and everyone else on the team. Like, he was a freak.
I know. You can ask, like, I feel like it was such an open secret too. Like, yeah, stuff really only started coming to light after Jeanette McCurdy made her documentary, but not documentary, her biography.
Yeah, that's a good book, guys.
It is a good book. I also wrote that it would be more interesting if the narrator was manipulated into staying on the production team and made Lauer more intimidating, but the narrator did do the right thing by leaving when he did. He left like right during pre-production, which, yeah, if you're gonna leave a production for being disturbing, like too disturbing, that's the time to do it. But I kind of wish there was like more to the story, because I mean, it was like I wish they did more, because Crybaby Lane is a real show too. Crybaby Lane was a real Halloween special that aired on Nickelodeon, and I wish they did more with the fact that it was real. But like it just didn't hit the mark, especially because like some of the plot points also rely on the reader knowing about Crybaby Lane, which I didn't prior to reading this story.
I feel like you can do a lot with stuff that's already real. Like, you could genuinely like make people think like, oh, this happened, this is scary, this is actually happening. But like, if you have, again, like poor writing, or like you literally just like don't know what to write, then it just all goes downhill.
Exactly. Like, I mean, we take a look at Ben Drowned, for example. Like, Majora's Mask is a game that exists, and it took that like so well. It did stuff with that so well. For Crybaby Lane, I put it in the D tier.
Yeah, sounding like a D to me.
Crybaby Lane, D tier. Dead Bart. One of the first lost episode creepypastas, this details a lost episode of The Simpsons in which Bart dies tragically. The episode is morbid and unlike typical Simpsons episodes, and supposedly was made when Matt Groening was in a darker period of his life. The graveyard, where Bart is buried, also has gravestones of previous guest stars on The Simpsons who would also perish later on. So, like Michael Jackson, for example. I feel like we have to at least respect the fact that this is like probably in the top 5 of the most influential creepypastas, for better or worse. It kind of basically created the lost episode genre, just like how Ben Drown created the cursed video game genre.
Yeah, we'll definitely give it credit for being like influential, but honestly, I don't really like it that much. It's kind of like just lost episode creepypastas really have no appeal to me, just for the simple fact that it's like, oh, this is a TV show. Like, this is like a cute little TV show. Did you know that the creators made an episode and they couldn't air it because it involved the most gruesome, gnarly stuff you've ever heard of? Like, I just think it's like weird and just not cool. But yeah. I kind of like the idea of like the directors and the creators or whatever were going through a dark time and they like took it out on their characters. But like in this gruesome of a form, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and I feel like every lost episode creepypasta kind of follows this exact format. Cheery Happy Show has an episode where someone fucking dies, and now the director and the creator of the show is like, you can never show this to anyone. And it's like, it's the episodes aren't cursed or haunted or anything. They're just like more disturbing than the rest. Creators, like writers and animators of the show, are known to like make like unflattering, lewd, creepy like things of their own show. So I mean, like having an episode where it's just like over the top creepiness and like over the top like gore and stuff isn't too far-fetched, but it's just also just not scary.
Yeah, it's not scary, and it's just, I quite frankly don't find it interesting like whatsoever. Like I see, or like I don't know, I don't find it like overly scary either. It's like, oh, blood and guts. Like, yeah, we all got blood and guts in us. What's it gonna do? I don't know. Like, I just don't find the scare factor in that. It's more scary to think about. Like, I think a lost episode that would be scary would be something like subliminal messaging, because that's like, I don't know, to me that's pretty creepy. But like just the gore and stuff, like for example, like maybe the Terrifier movies, I can never watch them because that's just like, it's just blood. There's nothing to it but blood. That's the foundation.
Yeah, it's just like someone just watched Final Destination for the first time and was like, I wonder if Bart Simpson can do that.
I wonder if Bart can just die.
Yeah, man, like, that's why it's called Dead Bart. I did find something interesting while researching this. Dead Bart in the creepypasta, it was created because Matt Groening was having a terrible time during season 1 of The Simpsons. And he was, like, there was a writer on the team that he was just at odds with at all times. But, like, I feel like that also makes it even less plausible to happen, because, like, if you're having trouble with another writer on this show, there's no way that writer is gonna let Dead Bart slide. Like, yeah,
he's gonna be like, you're gonna be Dead Bart before you get to air this.
You're gonna be a dead fart before you get to air this. Again, I respect that it was influential, but I'm really feeling like a C tier.
Yeah, I might even say D, but I feel like C is fair just because of like its influence and like infamy.
I almost want to say D tier, but there's also other, like, there's worse written creepypastas, I think. I feel like this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's worse.
It's one thing to be not scary, but at least it isn't like badly written.
No, and at least it's like grounded in somewhat reality. Like Matt, what did you say, Matt Groening? I'm sorry, I'm not a real Simpsons fan.
You're not a The Simpsons.
I'm not a The Simpson. No, but at least it's like grounded in reality in some sort of way. Like at least he was having a tough time, and at least like creators of shows like can make twisted stuff of their own characters, and like lost episodes kind of are a thing. Like, oh, they don't air this anymore, or like this is not allowed in this country because of this reason, like stuff like that. So
yeah, Again, it's not badly written. It's just not scary. And I think it's at least... I think we should just put it in a C tier.
Yep.
Dead Bart, C tier. Now we're going right into the shitter.
Uh-oh.
Eyeless Jack.
Oh my god.
A man awakens one morning and is rushed to the hospital to find that his kidney had been stolen. The doctors, dumbfounded, send him home, where he's attacked by an eyeless creature. He escapes and falls unconscious in the woods, and when he awakes, he discovers his brother has been killed by the creature. He finds his half-eaten kidney covered in the same substance oozing from the creature that attacked him.
So I think the picture of Eyeless Jack is pretty unnerving. Like, if I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw that over my bed, I would definitely be disturbed. But the story itself is so horrifically written, and it is just so like laughable that like it's not even a creepypasta, it's a silly pasta, because what was the creator thinking?
Clearly he wasn't thinking, because like I love how the doctors, when they find out his kidney's missing, they're like, oh yeah, what's like something stole your kidney somehow. Sorry, they just send him home. Like when you lose a kidney, I'm pretty sure you have to go on like dialysis. Like you have to have like some type of like medical procedure, like routinely going to the emergency room. And they're just kind of like, we can't do anything. Sorry, just go home without a kidney.
Like, if this was real, this kid would be dead, not because of Eyeless Jack, but because, you know, they sent him home without a kidney.
Exactly. And like the doctors would be fired for medical malpractice. And when he faints in the woods, he goes back to the hospital. And like he wakes up in the hospital and the doctors have like no remorse for his brother. They're just like, your brother was killed by something. Sorry. Verbatim, that is how it's written in the story.
Oh my goodness.
And the brother doesn't even have remorse for his own brother who died either. The narrator's just like, my brother died. Like, I went into my house to collect my stuff. And by the way, in the house is the dead brother with the half-eaten kidney on top of him, and the narrator just grabs his own kidney and like takes it out and doesn't realize it's his kidney until he's in the car with the rest of his family. Like, you're not just gonna tell your family like the brother's still in there. Like, what?
I just can't get over how ridiculous it is that he just like picks up his own kidney, like. And he's sitting in a car with like his family. He's like, oh, you know, I picked up this weird looking kidney bean. It's not a kidney bean. It's a real kidney, bro. Like, put that down. Why do you have that?
Creepypastas like this, there's a few of them on this list where it's like the image is far scarier than the story itself. Like, this image is made less scary because it's attached to such a horrible story. There's a few of them on this list, but I feel like Eyeless Jack I think it's the most egregious. I was going to say another later entry on this list is the most egregious, but a later entry is the most infamous, but Eyeless Jack is probably the worst. I'm going to put it in F.
Yeah, if we were talking about what I think you're talking about, that one isn't anywhere as near as ridiculous as Eyeless Jack, I'm not going to lie to you, but you said F tier, right?
I said F tier for Eyeless Jack.
Yeah, that's failing. It's failing creepypasta school.
Eyeless Jack, F tier. Happy Appy.
Ew.
A lost episode style story about a lost noggin show called Happy Appy. The show follows the titular Apple as he goes around helping children who have gotten hurt. The show's content is disturbing for something that was meant for younger children, showing blood and gruesome deaths. Appy has an assistant named Forensic, who assists him in killing victims and pursuing a particular victim named Danny.
I remember that apple and its ugly smile, and I remember the playground and like the gruesomeness of it. Not really the story, just more like the photos.
Would you believe me if I told you that Happy Appy has like 56 blog entries?
That's disgusting. I hate that.
No, 57, sorry.
Why?
I don't know. It's longer than both 1999 and Bend Round, and is the least interesting of the three.
This author is wasting their time just writing something that nobody wants to read.
Literally, it's just not. I don't know. It's one of those lost episode things where it's just like, oh my god, the gruesomeness of it is disturbing.
I feel like the worst thing about it is definitely the imagery, only because like I just hate the way that apple looks so much. Like they that's the only thing they nailed was like the creepiness of the apple.
Again, it's the friggin' creepiness of the image to creepiness. I didn't even find the apple that disturbing, like unsettling, sure, but not like creepy.
It's just because I was easily startled as a child. And I mean, like, hold on, like looking at him now, he just has like big lips and weird hands, and I don't like his eye. He kind of looks like a Pokemon, but that's insulting a Pokemon, honestly.
I'm amazed it's as highly regarded as it is, and it's like, I do in a way like the idea of like a snuff film that started off as a kids show, like 1999, but like it would have been better if it was structured as like a regular story and not a blog post, because I mean 1999 tried the same thing, and it's just like, again, scary when we were kids, but now
Yeah, blog posts just aren't the vibe anymore. We vlog now, we don't blog.
Get with the time, old man. I think there are a few more blog entry ones. I know there's like, or at least not like blog entries, but there's ones with like chapters coming up. Just a fair warning.
Oh boy.
Happy Appy, I'm gonna put in F.
I'm right there with you.
Happy Appy, F tier. Hero Brian. A 4chan user posts about mysterious happenings in his Minecraft world. Playing single player, the user discovers tunnels dug and structures built that were not his handiwork. He also reports seeing a figure that looks like his character with white eyes before being messaged by someone named Herobrine to stop. He contacts the creator of Minecraft, who tells him that Herobrine is his dead brother's soul haunting the game.
So Herobrine definitely scared the ever-loving shit out of me as a kid. I used to play Minecraft for hours. Like, I would sit on that computer until like my fingers were numb and cold and my toes were cold, and I had to like leave and warm up. But the second I heard like a cave noise or a scary noise, I would leave, because in my mind I'm like, that's Herobrine.
Literally the same story for me, only I had a friend in school named Dan who told me that the cave noises meant that Herobrine was watching me. Like, he had like different meanings for every cave sound.
Yeah, you told me that, and that's why I was afraid of cave sounds, because I thought I was being watched by Herobrine. It was a domino effect, buddy.
I vividly remember one time when I was playing Minecraft, I saw like a Steve character on top of like a jungle tree, and then I was like, what is that? And I like rubbed my eyes to get a closer look, but like when my eyes opened, there was just like a cloud of smoke, and then a Minecraft cave noise played.
Oh my god.
Freaked me the hell out. It was definitely just a zombie that was dying because it turned daytime, but
I used to play Minecraft on like plain mode with just the villages. Like, I didn't have any terrain because I like to build like myself. And I feel like it made it scarier because I would see like zombies or something in the distance. I saw zombies and I was like, no, Herobrine, no.
Two things. One, Minecraft felt more empty when it was like in the beginning stages. It was also just a better game, more fun in the early stages before they added like so much stuff into it. Like pre 2015 Minecraft was like the best Minecraft, and the Notch's dead brother thing, like,
a little cheesy, a little mwah.
It's not, it doesn't hit. I'm sorry, it does not. It is still creepy to think about, like thinking back, like putting yourself in Minecraft's early days. The idea of being watched by someone in a game that is genuine, like single player only, terrifying.
I know, and especially that screenshot that it originated from. Seeing the screenshot of it is like so scary because you can like clearly make out like the Steve figure, and that was before they added like you can play with other people. So
I don't know. I'm feeling
Honest-
a C tier on Herobrine. Did you have anything else to say?
I was gonna say, I feel like they could have exploited Herobrine in the way that, like, I know Herobrine is like really popular, and there's no way the creators of Minecraft don't know about it. They could have exploited it. Like, they could have had it as like a random mob that just spawns in every once in a while. Like, you know, there's this thing called the unusual hilichurl in Genshin that like spawns at random locations. You can only find it there, and I feel like if they did that with Herobrine, it would be like, it would definitely make it less creepy, but I feel like if they did it for like a Halloween update, people would like love it.
I wish they did. I know they removed Herobrine to patch notes as a joke, but that's
Give
as
us a
far as
little more.
that's as far as that went. I'm feeling a C tier.
I don't know. I kind of want to give it a B just because of how badly it scared the shit out of me as a kid. And it, like, low key, I like haven't played Minecraft in years just because I don't want to hear cave noises.
I haven't played Minecraft in years because it fucking sucks now. But also real. I'm cool with putting it in B tier.
Word up.
Herobrine, B tier. Jeff the Killer. A teenage boy discovers his violent urges after defending he and his brother from a gang of bullies. The gang of bullies return for revenge, and they horribly injure and disfigure Jeff before he kills them. Jeff snaps and murders his family before going off to become a serial killer. I just want to say this story, even if it's badly written, it's iconic.
This is the most iconic creepypasta besides another one, but this takes number 2, like no debates whatsoever. And yeah, the story is so bad. The story is just awful, but I love it just because of like, I kind of like the obscurity and like how much we don't know about the origins of the picture behind Jeff the Killer. But also I like how like really bad the story is, and how hard like the writer tried to be edgy, but it was just like so awful. It's just like endearing in a way.
I agree. I do like the fact that there's genuine mystery behind the image. I think it was Dylan the Night Owl, the guy that made the 17-hour long iceberg video. He said that if creepypastas were a country and they needed a flag, Jeff's face would be on the flag.
Absolutely.
Again, even if it's badly written, the image is iconic, and even the story has gone on to become like kind of iconic, because like even if it's badly written, you can look back and get a good laugh at it. Like there's literally a point where the author didn't know how to describe a gallon of bleach, so he says a thing of bleach, and that always makes me lose my shit.
And also you have to give it credit because it was a spawn point for like a lot of like other like creepypastas, like given they were bad, but like it's a spawn point for other ones inspired by Jeff, because and then like he was his own phenomenon, honestly. Like he inspired just like that whole blank the killer thing, and like people with edgy tragic backstories becoming serial killers. Like he was the Joker for the internet in like 2008.
He really was. And like you said, there was Jane the Killer, Nina the Killer, Charlie the Killer, and then there's a later entry in the list that's like a Jeff the Killer clone, but not. I'll get to it. You'll know which one I'm talking about. I know we like kind of raved about how iconic it is, but like it is really badly written. It is like maybe not Eyeless Jack level, but very, very near there.
I refer to like horror movies as I could fall asleep to this versus this is keeping me up. And honestly, the Jeff the Killer story, I could fall asleep to it.
I have fallen asleep to the Jeff the Killer story. Like I've gone to sleep listening to it. And I know there's like a remake of it now, but like that one's also not particularly scary. It's more both the original and the remake are more thriller than they are like horror.
Yeah.
They're more thriller than horror.
Is this a thriller?
I'm feeling F tier for Jeff the Killer.
Yeah, unfortunately F. Like, if this was going off popularity and like nostalgia and like I love you, Jeff the Killer, it would be an S tier, but unfortunately it has to go in F.
Jeff the Killer, F tier.
There's F and Jeff.
2 of them. Laughing Jack. A mother documents her 5-year-old son's imaginary friend named Jack. He's described as looking like a black and white clown. While the mother is disturbed by this, she chalks it up to her son's imagination. The mother begins having nightmares, and strange activities happen around the house involving her 5-year-old son. Before long, Laughing Jack kills the narrator's son and frames it so that it looks like the mother was responsible for it.
So I really like his design. I like the concept of him being like a clown in black and white, and I like the way that all the creepypasta fans have like interpreted him in like fan arts and cosplays and whatnot. But like, and also the story's like not that bad from what I remember. It's like, it's an interesting like story. I just like can't recall like if it was well written or not.
When I read it, I found it genuinely pretty disturbing. Like, I like the idea of the son's imaginary friend being like real and being like a demon or something. His design is pretty terrifying, and they don't really Jeff the Killer it, like, because I mean when there's like a clown or like malformed human looking character, there's always the fear like they're gonna Jeff the Killer it. It's its own thing, and it's actually like pretty friggin' scary to this day.
Yeah, I could not fall asleep to if if Laughing Jack was a horror movie, I could not fall asleep to it.
I wouldn't be able to fall asleep to it. I also want to point out it's a little bit refreshing because it's not like a teen power fantasy. It's like from a mom's POV, which not a lot of like creepypastas are told from a woman's perspective. I feel like it's mostly men.
Yeah, because I feel like mostly men write it, and I don't know how to write in a woman's perspective and not make it be like, oh, and I was playing this game, and I'm a girl, by the way, but I did this thing, and I'm a girl, by the way, and like I feel like they find it hard to do that, so it's like it went where no one really dared to go.
And it went off pretty well. It's like, it's not a Stephen King novel. It's not like it's no work of art, but it's freaky, it's scary, it gives me the chills. And I mean, the twist at the end where the mom like is framed to have killed her own son, like that's like, it's one of the first creepypastas on this list to land the ending, to stick the landing.
Yeah, it's really hard to come up with like a good ending to creepypastas because most of them kind of just trail off, and others like have like the stupidest ending known to man.
Some of them are, a lot of them are open-ended too. Like there's a lot of open-endedness to them, but this one, like, case is closed. You know how it ends, and it does not end well. For Laughing Jack, I'm feeling A tier.
Definitely an A tier.
Laughing Jack, A tier. Lavender Town Syndrome. In the original Japanese copies of Pokemon Red and Blue, the Lavender Town level music was said to cause terrible headaches and illness in children. Some were even pushed to the brink of death because the frequencies in the music were so high. Nintendo eventually changed the frequency of the Lavender Town music for future releases of the games.
Lavender Town was genuinely like one of those creepypastas that like scared me the most as a kid, especially since it was like, oh yeah, if you're a kid and you listen to this tone, you're gonna die. And it was like, and you know, of course every YouTuber puts it in the background of their video because why wouldn't they? And being a young impressionable mind, I was like, is my nose gonna start bleeding? Are my ears gonna start bleeding? Like, what's gonna happen to me after I listen to this? And even nowadays when I hear it, it still just like freaks me out because like that still feeling of like what's gonna happen to me after I listen to this for so long. Like, I can never listen to like a video with it in the background for more than 30 seconds before I start getting like a little freaked out and panicky.
Yeah, man, the Lavender Town music is genuinely like unsettling. It's like, even for an 8-bit game, it's like you listen to it and you have a feeling like something bad's gonna happen, and it's like the only level you can find like ghost types in. They pulled off like horror pretty well for the 90s, but like I feel like so the music like causing children like to have headaches, that's believable, but like it takes kind of a nosedive when it says like kids like died from it. They were like they jumped out of windows because of it or stuck their head in ovens.
Yeah, that's a little unrealistic. Oh, well, not a little. That's just, it's a blatantly unrealistic as it can be.
The
But,
music
like-
was too loud.
The frequency, the voices, the frequency's telling me what to do.
Hansel and Gretel core.
It's I don't know. It's a little refreshing because it's also not a haunted game. It's a little refreshing in that aspect where it's like this game isn't cursed. It's just the way it was released was enough to like get people to die. But also like, was it enough to get people to die? No.
Mm-mm. And it's also like, in a sense, it's a little bit believable because like video games have been recalled for like things that are like obscure and random, like, oh, this one level has this or this image is like that. Like I can't like call to specific examples, but it definitely just has that one element of realism. Also, I kind of want to mention like mass hysteria for this one. Like, you know how like sometimes the Salem witch trials can be attributed to just like mass hysteria. I feel like this can also like call to it because like random stuff like this can happen in real life. Like mass amounts of people like might experience the same thing for like no like real reason, and I feel like it's just has a similar vibe to it, which gives it a little creepy edge.
I mean, there's really not much else to the creepypasta other than that. It's a really short one. I was gonna put the creepypasta in C tier.
It seems about reasonable.
Lavender Town Syndrome, C tier. Mario.
Hello, Mario.
A hacked and supposedly cursed version of Super Mario World in which the game seems to communicate with the player. It shows Mario being punished for all the wrongs he's done to both Bowser and the Mushroom Kingdom. This was kind of a longer read, and it didn't have me fully invested the whole way through. It was like this guy basically went onto a website knowing it was like a hacked version of the game. He's like, yeah, I'm just downloading this hacked game just for fun. And then he acted like so shocked and like disturbed when the game was hacked.
Yeah, kind of cringe, buddy. Like you got what you asked for. Why are we so shocked?
At least like Benjamin and Lavender Town feel somewhat real. Mario just comes up as like edgy, written for shock value, like, oh my god, Mario died, Luigi died. And again, the associated image, really creepy.
Is that the face that with the? Is that them with at the end screen with like their faces are melted, or is that a different one?
Yeah, it's like the melted face one.
Oh, okay, yeah, no,
It is kind of creepy. I'll give them that, but it's like I don't know. It's just going like the guy going into it knowing it's haunted, and then like being like, oh no, it actually is haunted and scary. Like I don't know. It just really doesn't appeal to me. It never has. I don't find it very interesting, and I quite honestly don't want to give it any brownie points for anything.
Nor do I. I don't know. I don't want to give it brownie points, but I also don't see it being in the same tier as like Jeff or Iwas Jack. I was gonna put it in D.
Yeah, sure. Because I guess it does have like receipts, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure there are screenshots to go with it.
Plenty. There's plenty of screenshots with it.
I guess the evidence is nice. Like I said, I didn't want to give it brownie points, but I guess, evidence, that's fun. That's cool.
Mario, D tier. Momo. The Momo Challenge was an internet challenge in which children and adolescents were instructed by a spirit named Momo to do heinous acts to themselves or others. It's the midst of the Blue Whale Challenge and the classic Bloody Mary game. Genuinely, I have nothing to say about Momo. I think it's like one of the most boring and stupid creepypastas out there.
I got stuff to say about Momo.
Say it.
So, I know that Momo, like the original picture, is an art sculpture. I think it's called Mother Chicken or like Mother Hen or something. I'm not exactly sure where in Asia, but it's an Asian artist, and I'm not sure of the name. I forget, but it's just an art piece, and I feel like that, like it's kind of unsettling. It's like kind of unsettling to look at. Like it's a very creepy sculpture. Like it's a human head with like a beak for a mouth, exploiting children and like making them do like things to harm themselves and others by using just like a creepy photo and like just telling them to like do all that stuff or else. Like it's just, that's the scariest part of it, because like the reality of it, like there's real people out there who like actually want people kind of using like little innocent children as pawns for their work. Like it's not funny, it's not cool. It's just, that's the part of it that like really freaks me out, other than the sculpture being a little unsettling.
I don't even find the sculpture being that all unsettling either. It's just
I just don't like it, the big eyes.
Its big eyes are freaky, but I mean, like, Jeff, Jack, Mario, Dead Bart, even Herobrine all have creepier images. And a few later entries have creepy images too.
Bad people doing bad things in real life, it's just a little scary, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I'm feeling an F tier.
I kind of want to bring it up to a D, just because like, yeah, I guess it's like lame, but also it's just like I don't like thinking about like the people who like took that creepypasta to the extreme.
Yeah, I did see. Okay, yeah, because some people did actually do the Momo challenge, and like some people did the Blue Whale challenge. Momo, D tier. NES Godzilla. NES Godzilla is a hacked and cursed game cartridge and is detailed over 8 chapters, with the author providing several screenshots of the game. The game hurdles unusual monsters outside of the usual Godzilla IP and even quizzes the player on himself before devolving into a nightmarish hellfest. This one was just as long. I know it said 8 chapters, but it felt just as long as Happy Happy. It was a tedious read. It was, there was so much, like it went into like such unnecessary detail that it was like, okay, I get what color the map is, I get what color the main villain is. You don't have to give us that detail, just get to the point.
And this is a prime example of like screenshots aren't always good, because I feel like the creatures that were described and shown just like literally were not scary whatsoever. I remember just like always kind of ignoring the photo evidence. Like I watched that creepypasta iceberg, and whenever I got to NES Godzilla, I would just like do anything but pay attention because of just how lame it was. Like, I'm sorry, I love Godzilla, but oh my god, it was just, it was excruciating to sit through.
It almost feels too niche. Like other creepypastas have appeal, like Mario and Ben Drown, because Zelda and Mario Brothers, they're big franchises. And I mean, yes, like kaiju stuff and Godzilla stuff is huge. I mean, there's a podcast on MMTV dedicated to Godzilla talk, but like adding that it's like a retro game console kind of makes it too niche for my taste.
Yeah, and also it's just, I don't know, it's just it's one of the ones that it's like it never really stood out to me. Like all of these, like I feel like most of these have recalled back like a memory, or like they made me like feel a certain way when I heard the name, like, oh, I'm excited about this one, or ooh, I hate this one. This one was just like NES Godzilla. Okay.
Something else I wrote about is that the villain just dies really quickly. The villain kind of like tortures him, puts the narrator through like a gauntlet and stuff. He puts the narrator through like this like gauntlet and stuff, and like makes it seem like he's not going down without a fight. But he ends up just dying like so quickly. The main character gets like Deus Ex Machina, because like the soul of his dead mom enters the game and revives him, gives him full health so he can beat the demon that's haunting the game. And it's like, come on, dude, 8 chapters for that ending.
Yeah, it's just really lame. I hate to say it, but LAME lame. Is there a tier below F because it deserves that?
There's not, but I'm definitely putting it in F tier. It's everyone hypes this one up too. Everyone's like, NES Godzilla is so good. No, it's really not.
NES Godzilla going on my sleeping playlist.
NES Godzilla, F tier.
We hate a lot of these.
Now that we're older, it's like they're not hitting as much as if we were younger. They're definitely targeted towards a more younger demographic, but Evil Auto. Two teenage boys go to an arcade and play one of their favorite games, Berserk. One boy gets so engrossed in the game that he has a heart attack and passes away when he hits the high score. The other boy blames the game for taking his friend's life, and the main villain, a smiley face, laughs at him. So I feel like this story had such an interesting premise that it went nowhere with. I basically just described to you the entirety of the story. It was like 1, maybe 2 pages long.
It's always the good ones that go nowhere. Like literally, like why can't we expand upon the good ones and why can't the bad ones just stop? Or like why can't we have the good ones have good expansions? Like for example, calling back to like 1999, like that one had so much potential if the person just knew how to write, and this person just stopped writing.
This one was like meant to be just a short and sweet, creepy one, and it is technically based on a true story. There was like a case in the 80s where a boy died while playing Berserk, because Berserk is a real game, and the villain is Evil Auto. It is the smiley face, but it just comes off so corny. Like his friend like clutches his heart and falls to the ground, and the narrator doesn't perform CPR. Like I know he doesn't like know CPR, but even if I don't know CPR, I'm gonna try and like save my friend's life, you know? I'm gonna do my best. He just watches his friend like die, and in the story he points at the game. He goes, "You did it!" Genuinely, that's something that happens in the story. But
Bro's resolved his trauma early.
Literally. He also punches the arcade game screen and only gets 1 shard of glass in his knuckle. Like, no, you're going to the hospital. Your hand is covered in lacerations. Your hand is like lucky to still be on your arm. Also, How are you 12 years old with that much strength? What kind of roids are you taking?
He drank his milk, I'm just telling you that.
How do you feel about F tier?
That makes sense.
Evil Auto, F tier. Polybias. A mysterious arcade game appeared in the early 80s and blew up in popularity. The game would prove to be a hit, but would cause intense addiction, insomnia, amnesia, and other psychological effects on players. Men in Black would come and collect data on the game and its users, before taking away the game forever only a month later. One cabinet reappeared in 1998, but disappeared again soon after, and nobody has been able to get the original ROM files of the game.
Was this a real game or no?
It's kind of up in the air. It's more of an urban legend. There are photos of it, but they're believed to be fabricated.
I feel like it has a good basis for a story. The Men in Black part is just kind of like, okay. But like, I don't know. The psychological horror I feel like is like really good because it's like stuff like this can happen to people. Like people do go crazy. As I've said before, like mass hysteria, but like, I don't know. It's like things have a psychological effect on you. Like everything has a psychological effect on you. Like the lighting in your room, the clothes that you wear, all this stuff has an effect on you. And it's just like when something like has that much of an impact on you for you to go like crazy, especially like a video game or something, it's just like interesting to think about. But yeah.
I agree completely, especially with the like Men in Black stuff. Like it's far-fetched. Like they deal with aliens. Why are they dealing with a video game? I feel like it also made sense for the games to be taken away because, again, psychological effect. Like, if that many people are suffering amnesia and stuff, of course they're going to take away that game. And also, a recreation of the game can be found online, and it can be downloaded, but there's an epilepsy warning because there's a bunch of flashing bright lights. I don't know. I feel like the idea of it's really interesting.
Yeah, good concept, but that one part is just kind of irking me. Just the Men in Black.
It's between a B and a C for me.
B for Men in Black.
All right, I'm good with a B tier. Polybias, B tier. The Rake. An ancient creature responsible for the deaths of several men begins stalking a woman and her family. One night, she and her husband awake to find the creature at the edge of their bed. Startled, the creature kills their daughter and causes the husband to die by driving his car into a lake. Years later, the woman records her bedroom at night and hears the same sounds she did when the creature was in her bedroom. Out of all the original creepypastas, like the core creepypastas that got everyone into them, or the core like popular ones, this one's probably my favorite.
It's definitely up there for me just because of like this factor of it. Like every time someone says the rake, even like referring to like the tool that you use to like get leaves out of your yard, that picture, you know the one I'm talking about, that one just pops up into my head and it just like has this, I have this like reaction and like my body like fight or flight.
Yep, even after I stopped finding like Jeff the Killer scary, I still find the rake image terrifying. Even though it's like from a video game promotional image, it is still freaky. Like the found footage look of it, it's terrifying.
Yeah, like when you started talking about the story, I tucked my feet in underneath the blankets.
Did you actually?
Yes, bro. I'm actually on my floor right now. I'm not gonna lie to you because the Wi-Fi in my bed is weird. But like at this angle, I'm looking underneath my bed, and I'm like, I don't want to look under here anymore. What if he's here?
I feel like it sticks the landing. It's just good all the way through. Still scary to this day. I feel like there's not much I can say about it that hasn't been said already. You know, it's a classic, and it holds up.
It's good, and it still scares us. We are not 12 anymore, and we still are afraid. He also has his own Halloween costume at Spirit Halloween.
He does. He's one of 3 on this list that have their own creepypasta costume.
So if that doesn't tell you anything, then
well, one of 4 actually. One of them has them. One of 5 actually, because Laughing Jack and Jeff have masks.
Oh, I thought Jeff was already one of the 3 you were talking about.
No, there's 2 more, and they're towards more the end of the list. The Rake, I'm feeling S tier.
Absolutely.
The Rake, S tier. Rap Rat. A mom buys her children a mousetrap style game, but the kids are too scared of it to play. The narrator uncovers it years later after going through his old stuff and plays it on his neighbor's VHS player. He experiences supernatural events and disturbing imagery plays on the screen, and nightmares pursue him even after the tape is destroyed. It's discovered that a mother, whose daughter died while producing the game in a factory, bound a demon's soul to the game. I found this story to be more funny than it was scary. There's definitely some interesting ideas in there, like the cursed game and like the mother's grief, but like it's a rapping mousetrap game. It's mousetrap with a rapping mouse, rapping rat actually.
So the first thing that came to mind when you said Rap Rat was literally from a creepypasta reading. The first thing that came to mind to me when you said Rap Rat was literally the scene where the mother curses like the workers or whatever, where she goes, "Apparat curse you" or whatever. And it like, cause the YouTuber I used to watch, I forget who it was, but he like read it and it just stuck in my mind so clearly. But I'm not gonna lie, this one scared me like a little bit just because of the fact that it was like a demon cursing the game and not just like some stupid like 5-year-old dead kid.
That was one of my points too, is that apparat. Like why choose like a random made up demon? Most people when they curse people are like they call upon like the devil. They don't call upon some like specific demon, and it just takes away from the believability of it. Like why? It's like the NES Godzilla one where it's just too niche, because Rap Rat is a real game.
It is?
It is. I've seen like copies of it. It's creepy, it's freaky for sure, like seeing it in real life, but like it's just not scary.
It had a little bit of an impact on me as a kid, but not enough for me to like, be awake at night thinking about it. It was just that one part of that creepypasta I remember vividly.
Yeah, man, that's the one I remembered too, is the like the calling out the demon, and they were like, you should never say a demon's name out loud because it will haunt you and chase you. That's you inviting it. It just doesn't do anything for me for the story personally. I'm really feeling an F tier. I'm starting to notice a lot of these older classic creepypastas suck.
But they're classic, so we can't blame them.
Some of them I can, like Eyeless Jack, but how do you feel about Rap Rat?
F.
Rap Rat, F tier. Robert the Doll. Robert the doll is a cursed children's toy that is said to bring bad luck upon whoever speaks ill of it. The doll was created by a Haitian maid for the Otto family, particularly their son, Robert. The maid was fired for practicing black magic, and it seemed the doll was cursed as well. Their son, Robert, began going by his middle name, Jean, claiming Robert was the doll's name only. Objects would fly around and break, and toys would be mutilated, and while Jean insisted that it was Robert's doing, he was the one always punished for it. Jean would bring Robert with him and his wife later in life until he died, and Robert would reside in that house with new owners. The owners would give the doll to a museum, and employees and visitors of this museum would report haunted happenings with Robert. I'm kind of surprised this is on a creepypasta website because this is actually like a genuine like historical thing. Like,
Yeah, this is a genuine artifact.
I don't know, it's genuinely freaky to read. And like the part where it's like you need to ask permission to take its photo, that kind of creeps me out too. And you can't speak bad on his name. I'm just I'm just surprised this is lumped in because this is easily like, in my opinion, this is kind of the scariest thing on the list just because it's like there's not just like photo evidence but like video, like in-person evidence of like Robert's existence. It's not like a fan-made thing. It is the actual Robert doll that you can visit, and I feel like that puts it leagues above even the Rake.
Robert is definitely like one of the scarier things up there just because he is real. That is a real doll that exists somewhere, but also like genuinely he like does do things to people. And like I think it's kind of scary, like cursed objects and all that. I like you said, I don't know how this belongs on creepypasta because it is real, but it's more paranormal than just like a text thing, and paranormal is like more my expertise, more my thing. So when I heard Robert the doll, I was pretty excited to talk about it because this has like haunted me for a while. Like I've been afraid of him for a while. Like even speaking right now, I'm pretty sure he's somewhere in England, but like speaking right now, I'm afraid to say something bad because I really don't want to be afflicted.
I don't either. I mean, I think we should be fine since we're not in his presence, but I really don't have anything bad to say either. It's just genuinely an unsettling story with an interesting history. I'm feeling an S tier.
Yeah, me too.
Robert the doll, S tier. Ronald McDonald House. A delinquent foster child has two options left for a foster home: military school or the Ronald McDonald House. The delinquent chooses the latter and instantly regrets it when nurses dressed as Ronald McDonald sedate him and strip him. He's shown photos of his previous foster families, now murdered, and he escapes to the surface after witnessing how many children this Ronald McDonald House has murdered.
I have read this one before and I've heard audio of this before, and let me just say this one has haunted me to my core. Because when you said Ronald McDonald House, I felt genuinely ill because the detail that this writer goes into describing the like scenes and stuff is just absolutely horrific.
It was really grotesque. Like, I still think Crybaby Lane was pretty grotesque, and there's another entry later on that's pretty grotesque. You probably already know which one it is, but this one was like a little sickening to read. I feel like it took itself too seriously. Like you're in a Ronald McDonald charity house, like, and you're making a creepypasta based off of that. Like make it a little bit more lighthearted, make it a little bit more funny. You know, like don't just be completely edgy gore. All of your previous families are dead type shit. I also wanted to point out that I think this has probably the worst ending of any creepypasta on this tier list.
How does it end? I forgot.
The narrator escapes badly beaten and scarred and stuff. He escapes to the surface and he's in the middle of the woods, and he sees an abandoned McDonald's, and there's a bench outside with Ronald McDonald on it, like the statue Ronald McDonald, and next to that statue is a laptop, and the narrator goes up to the bench, goes up to the laptop. He doesn't like try running for help. He doesn't try and escape. He spends his time writing down this story.
it tried to be cool with that, like, and I'm writing to this story right now. I'm writing the story to you right now after I just escaped. And I was like, kid, go get help.
It's so dumb. It's so bad. I literally wrote in my notes, laptop part at the end is just awful, destroys the sense of urgency, and it's too convenient. And like, the nurses should still be chasing him. He should still be looking for help. This is one that I just knew was going to be fake, and it was so bad.
Just the only outstanding thing about it was just the hefty amounts of gore that it involved, and just it was just not good on the imagination at all. Especially for a kid my age. I don't know why I decided reading that would be good for me, but I read it and it scarred me. It has left a deep internal scar inside of me that every time I go to McDonald's, I feel like I can just like taste the agony of children in every bite I take.
I'm feeling an F tier.
Sure thing. Ooh, I fell over.
Ronald McDonald House, F tier. The Russian sleep experiment. During the Cold War, Soviet scientists would test neurotoxins and chemicals on prisoners of war. One chemical would cause subjects to be awake for prolonged periods of time and led to them going insane. When they stopped spraying this chemical, the subjects would appear to be in agony, begging for the gas to be turned back on. One patient talks about the darkness that lurks within us all before being executed by Soviet soldiers.
So even the mere mention of the Russian sleep experiment, all those words together in a sentence just activate my fight or flight, because that picture, that goddamn picture of that goddamn spirit Halloween decoration is terrifying. And honestly, the story is pretty believable up until the point about the whole, like, the darkness that lurks within us. Like, because I would genuinely believe that. Like, the Soviet Union was crazy. And, like, the stuff that people did, like, back in, like, the early, like, 1900s to each other, just all the experimentation and, like, all the, malpractice and medication is just, it hit, like, just too close to, like, reality. But again, it fell off with the ending.
Yeah, the ending, in my opinion, came off really pretentious because the last words of the person when he's executed by firing squad, he says, "So nearly free." And it just comes off so, like, I don't know, it comes off pretentious to me. It's also a lot more gory than I remember. Like, I knew it was going to be gory, but it was like, they describe, like, they smear, like, poop on the wall. Their, like, intestines where they were, like, gutted.
So it's, like, really, it's just really scary in the psychological, like, part, because, like, being awake for a certain amount of time really does mess you up. And, like, to think that they saw, like, horrific stuff that made them do horrific stuff, like, horrific things to themselves and each other and, like, the room around them, it's just, like, it's unsettling. But I feel like if they didn't have, like, too extensive amounts of gore, it would have been, like, a lot creepier. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if I stayed awake for, like, 3 days straight, I wouldn't be smearing my poop on the walls, but, you know.
I think it was also just the drugs they were given too, because again, they were given a gas that wasn't oxygen or, like, air. Again, yeah, it's believable to an extent. It's just, again, the ending, much like a lot of these entries, just does not stick. I'm feeling A tier.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The Russian sleep experiment, A tier. Slender Man. Created in the late 2000s as part of a contest, Slender Man would go on to become the most famous creepypasta character, with plenty of video games, an analog horror series, fan-made short films, and even a wide theatrical release. Slender Man has cemented himself in popular culture. It's an almost eldritch being with unknown motives and unknown powers besides teleportation and technology manipulation. The Slender Man is known to lure children into the woods, cause sickness in those he chooses to stalk, and induce madness in his victims.
Definitely a classic, and I am not afraid of him at all. I never have been afraid of him, but he's definitely near and dear to my heart, as he is many people, because just of how, like, famous and popular he is. And I feel like he's everywhere in everything, and you literally can't escape him. And I just think it's crazy how, like, some guy creating something for an art contest just got this far.
I was gonna say, if it weren't for the controversy surrounding Slender Man, he would be my favorite to this day. I don't know. Unlike you, I was terrified of this guy. Like, this was like the scariest thing to young Cody. It was that period of time in my life where I was just obsessed with Slender Man videos. Like, I'd watch people play Slender. I'd watch Marble Hornets. Marble Hornets to this day, I think, is the best, like, analog horror series. Like, better than the Walton Files, better than Gemini Home Entertainment, better than all of that. And it was the first to do it.
In middle school, I played the Slender the 8 game, and let me just say, like, I was on edge that whole time. I got pretty far along. I think I got like 7 pages before he got me. But oh my god, the fact that you literally cannot run in that game, and like the glitching noise is so loud, and like he's just like the ominous ambiance of it and just everything. It was just, that was pretty terrifying, but it was also really fun to play. And I'm kind of sad because I want to play it again, but I like don't know where to download it.
I'm pretty sure it's still able to download on like Reddit or something, but
yeah, I wouldn't trust a Reddit link.
I wish I could still play the game, but I also don't feel like downloading a bunch of viruses on my phone. And I wish that there wasn't such like a controversy surrounding him, because he was probably the best. Again, if it weren't for the controversy, he'd be my favorite. He was probably the best and had the most potential of any creepypasta, because like his story being open-ended was like an advantage over like other creepypastas, because like there's like so many first-hand accounts that can be like created and fabricated and stuff. And since he's truly unknowable, anyone can add any kind of power to him and it would make sense.
Aren't his motives unknown? Like, yeah, he lures children into the woods, but what does he want? It's just kind of like, he's so like mysterious, and like not in an edgy way, like not a wannabe way, but he's like mysterious in like the actually scary fear of the unknown way.
He made me scared of the woods for years.
Oh yeah, I'm scared of the woods for like other creepypastas. Like when we mentioned the rake, like I'm like, don't remind me that there's woods out back.
I'm feeling S tier for Slenderman. S for Slenderman.
Yeah, S for Slenderman.
Slenderman, S tier. Smile Dog. Smile Dog refers to a chainmail type story in which random individuals will get a photo of a smiling husky in their email and will be driven to the point of insanity by it. The only hope they have for release is to spread the word and share the image. After they do so, they pass away.
Smile Dog scared the ever-loving hell out of me as a child. And I literally, like, thinking, like, even the pictures nowadays kind of scare me. Like, they're not, like, so scary to the point where, like, I'm awake at night, but it's, like, definitely unnerving. Like, if I was home alone and I looked at it, I would have to play, like, upbeat music to make myself feel better. Like, I don't know, but the chainmail part is just kind of like meh, because like it's kind of like repost on your story or your mom dies at 3 a.m. tonight, or like repost or you're gonna get possessed. It's like those kind of things just like aren't scary. They're more just like anxiety traps, if you know what I mean. It's just like it's just like trying to get popular. It's just like people trying to get popular by like threatening other people, and it's just like, bro, grow up. But and also like the whole part about the people passing away is just like blah, like why? But like the psychological torture is a pretty cool aspect of it, especially since like creepy images can do that, but also like you can do that to yourself if you overthink a lot. So
yeah, it's the chainmail stuff definitely makes it a little like hard to believe. Like, oh, this image of a husky smiling, he has a creepy smile, like, oh, I have to spread the word or he haunts me forever. It's not entirely believable. The image is definitely like, I mean, the newer image is disturbing. The first image is just kind of like, whatever. But like the second one kind of unsettles me still.
Which one's the second one? Is it the one where he looks fatter?
Yeah, the second one where he has like the wider smile and it's more red and more saturated. The first one's like the more dull one.
Oh, I think the first one's scarier. The second one I could tell is just like, it just looks like someone was playing around with filters.
The story itself, I feel like had a nice twist though at the end. The author is like telling the story so he can spread the word, so he can be freed of Smile Dog, and he shares the image so we can spread the word, and I feel like that's a really, really effective ending.
Yeah, that's really good.
It is up there. It is really up there.
I have a story about Smile Dog actually. I remember one time I looked it up on like a laptop. On a laptop I think it was. And I watched like a video and it was like scary music in the background of the first picture of Smile Dog. And I was too afraid to like exit out and close my laptop because I was afraid he was gonna come downstairs and bite my hand. So I made mom do it for me. She's like, "Why are you watching this?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Why are you watching this demonic stuff? Why are you watching them? I remember it, dude. I remember you were so scared of the laptop. I was too, like that image. And it was the second image with the wider smile that you were scared of.
Oh, really? I thought it was the first one.
No, it was the second one. That I remember. It's between like an A and a B for me.
I want to say A just because of that personal story that we had with it where we were actually afraid of it.
The personal story does add a lot of points to it for me personally. I mean, it did have a really good ending, but it's not like a masterpiece by any means. Smile Dog, A tier. Sonic.exe. A fan of the video game series Sonic the Hedgehog receives a CD in the mail from his friend. His friend urges him to destroy the disc, but the protagonist decides to play it to discover that it is a gruesome and evil version of the first Sonic game. Sonic brutally kills his friends and his mortal enemy before scaring the protagonist into destroying the disc once and for all. This story is so bad. It is so badly written. It's worse than Jeff. I don't want to say it's worse than Eyeless Jack, but it is like probably the same level as Eyeless Jack. From like the use of like the word hyper realistic to describe everything to like just the plot just not making sense. The plot has like that like element where everyone in it is just an idiot and that's why the story is happening. Like it could easily be avoided, but because the characters are stupid, it's happening.
It's stupid because it's like, why would you send me this CD? Like you can destroy it yourself very easily. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He literally
and why would he play it?
In the letter he says like, it's too late for me, you have to destroy it, when it's like you could have just like taken your hands and just snapped it, and it took more effort to put that disc in an envelope, put it in the mail, and get it shipped through like UPS or USPS or FedEx or whatever. It took more effort and more money to do that.
Yeah, and it also takes more effort to literally write your address, the return address, and then the address it's being sent to on an envelope. And also write an entire letter. Hello?
Literally. Like, you could have just snapped that disc or just not played it in the first place. But no, the author just had to receive this disc and he had to destroy it. But he didn't. He played it.
Yeah. It was just a very avoidable creepypasta story, but I will say it's one of my absolute favorites. Just for the simple fact that, like, I used to love Sonic. Well, we used to love Sonic when we were younger. The fact that they had a creepypasta, like, revolving around him. And then someone made, like, an actual, like, game adaptation, which was kind of cool and creepy to, like, see. Because I honestly was a little bit disturbed by, like, the sounds and the imagery of it. But, other than, like, that, like, than the actual game remake itself, I feel like it brought really nothing to the creepiness table.
Sure, there was a lot of grotesque and like gory imagery, but like it's not scary, and it can also easily be attributed to just be his friend like playing a prank on him, like an elaborate prank, or like trolling him, sending him like a joke Sonic hacked game. How does he know the game like isn't even implied to be cursed until the last line? It's just an edgy Sonic hack. Nothing in the story works or makes sense. It's just, and the author to this day, what makes it worse, says that it is his magnum opus. It's a fine piece of work.
It's only his magnum opus just because it made him popular, which really doesn't make sense for it being a magnum opus, but it's literally just, it made him popular. That's why he's saying that low-key.
Yeah. He says it was like one of the most influential creepypastas of all time. That's why it's goated. But just because, I mean, Jeff the Killer is one of the most popular, and it's bad. Eyeless Jack's one of the most popular. It's bad. Popularity doesn't equal quality, and that is why I am feeling an F tier for Sonic.exe.
As much as I love it, it's got to be an F.
Sonic.exe, F tier. Red Mist. An intern at Nickelodeon Studios previews what is initially thought to be a joke episode of SpongeBob. As it goes on, though, it's clear that this is more of a depraved take on the beloved kids show, showing a darker and more morbid side to Squidward in particular. This one made me nauseous to read. Like, it goes into the detail of what happens, like, way too much. Like, to the point where, like, when it said, like, some of the people in the show were throwing up, I almost started throwing up.
I hate vomiting.
So do I, and it's probably the most grotesque one so far, and that's saying something.
I honestly, like, I love this one because, not because of, like, the grotesqueness of it, like, yes, it made it actually genuinely scary, and yeah, it made it, like, actually scary, but I love it just because of the picture that's associated with this pasta. That favorite thing ever. If I could make it my profile picture on everything, I would.
It's your contact photo in my phone, the Squidward image.
Well, I think it's the funniest picture for such a dark and grotesque and, like, actually, like, gut, like, wrenching creepypasta. It has the most unserious photo that is used to represent it. And also, didn't the actual, like, SpongeBob, like, reference it? Like, I like, remember, like, it being in an episode, like, recently, and then they had to take it out because I guess it was still too scary.
Yeah, some kids got scared by it, but they did show. There was, like, an episode where they were, like, opening doors to different dimensions, and there was one that showed, like, the creepy Squidward face, basically saying that Squidward, the Red Mist episode, happened in another universe. It's cool that they recognized it, but I mean, Gumball recognized their lost episode creepypasta and made a joke post about it for April Fools, but it's not really scary. It's just, again, grotesque. I don't want to say it's badly written. It's just unsettling and disturbing, but not scary. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in, like... I'm feeling a D tier.
Yeah, I was going to say D.
Red Mist, D tier. Tails Doll. Another story of a cursed Sonic game, but this time revolving around a playable character in Sonic R. It's said to be a cursed doll, with malevolent intentions, cursing those that unlock his character in the game. This one, to me, struck more as like an urban legend than a creepypasta, because a lot of the stories that I read originated before creepypasta were a thing, and like even people who have played the game Sonic R and have unlocked the Tails doll have noted that it's like really unsettling, really creepy, and that's probably where the urban legend came from. So this technically is one of the oldest creepypastas in existence, older than Ted the Caver, which is the first creepypasta.
I honestly, like, in my opinion, I think the Tails doll is kind of cute looking. I obviously never played that game, but I think the Tails doll is cute looking, but I feel like it just adds to it when it's like something grounded in reality. Because, like, again, as I've been saying with all the realistic kind of thing, it just makes it scary the more real it is, because this is real world stuff, and like the fear of the unknown or unexplainable things is just even worse, especially since it's like electronic. It's like you don't know who might be hacking into your system, like, and what they might be doing to your like electronics and stuff. So I feel like it adds a lot onto that fear as well.
It really reminds me of like Annabelle, maybe a hint of like Child's Play, which, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, but Robert the Doll inspired Child's Play, which is pretty cool.
I didn't know that, actually, surprisingly.
I'm surprised, but yeah, it inspired Chucky. So Robert inspired Chucky. It's not as badly written or tryhard as Sonic.exe, and Tails Doll on its own, without the creepypasta, like I said, is unsettling to look at. I honestly want to put it in C tier.
I'll give it that. Am I like the only person who thinks Tails Doll doesn't look creepy at all? Like, I think he's a little cutie bear.
I feel like it's just that one image of him where it's like he's in a black room and the spotlight's on him. That's the image that really freaks me out.
Definitely, but like if you look at a picture of him just limp or something, he looks fine.
Tails Doll, C tier. Tiki Toby. A kid with Tourette's syndrome, hailing from a broken home, is pushed to the breaking point by his bullies and his father. After he snaps and murders his father and feigns his own death, he is taken under Slender Man's wing as an apprentice. Honestly, even though this one sounds like the Jeff the Killer clone with Slender Man influence, this is the one I was talking about earlier. It's honestly not as badly written as I thought it was going to be. It's still an edgy teen fantasy, but it's not like, oh, something stole your kidney and killed your brother. Sorry.
I think it's kind of awful that they call him Ticky Toby when he has Tourette's.
Yeah. It's kind of like how, I don't know if you remember in Gotham, but Penguin hated being called Penguin, but then he took that name when he finally snapped and came into his own. It's kind of the same story with Ticky Toby. He was bullied for having ticks. I feel like Slenderman's really the only factor separating this from being another Jeff the Killer story. And even then, Slenderman doesn't really add much to the story. He's just kind of there at the end, and he's blamed for Ticky Toby's madness.
I don't really have much to say on it because I don't really know what to feel about it. It's just you're right. It's just another Jeff the Killer, except with the addition of Slenderman. It's just I really don't have any thoughts or opinions on it because there's a million creepypastas that are just like Jeff the Killer in their own regard, and there's a million creepypastas that are Slenderman's minions or whatever. It's okay.
One thing that I thought it was interesting at the end was the mom. It starts to talk about the mom's grief. It doesn't really expand on it, but it starts to talk about how the mom, the daughter died previously. Now the son killed the husband, and the son's presumed dead, and he feigns it because Toby feigned his own death. And so the mom doesn't. It doesn't really expand upon the mom's grief. It's just all this shit happened to her. Now she's living with her sister. Also, on the Creepypasta website, this is somehow the highest rated creepypasta on this list with a 9.1 out of 10.
I feel it's just because of fangirls that ship themselves with her.
Yeah, because they couldn't do it with Jeff and stuff. They had to do it with...
They still do it with Jeff.
No, but Jeff got removed from the Creepypasta website because it was badly written.
Oh.
But yeah, they couldn't do it over Jeff, so they had to fangirl over Ticky Toby. We have Jeff the Killer at home. You know what? Jeff the Killer is the meal at home. Jeff the Killer is the McDonald's at home. Ticky Toby's the step up from McDonald's is the no, not the KFC. Ticky Toby's the Chick-fil-A, where it's it's still shit, but it's not McDonald's. I'm feeling a D tier for Ticky Toby.
Yeah.
Ticky Toby, D tier. And for the last creepypasta on this list, Zalgo. A man discovers that an eldritch being known as Zalgo has invaded his life and is tearing away at his sanity. It starts with comments in his newspaper, then it evolves into his family and his home being possessed by the demon. In my personal opinion, Zalgo is better off as a concept than it is as a solid story.
Definitely.
This story was just it was just bad. The story was badly written. It was this guy was eating Chinese food and went into detail about how the soy sauce looked like maggots crawling into the rice, and it's
right.
what are you talking about right now?
Isn't Zalgo a font?
No, Zalgo is associated with that glitchy cursed font and stuff, and the phrase "he comes." Zalgo isn't the name of the font.
And Zalgo also has its own costume. Well, Zalgo has a costume, and actually, I just got sent a picture of the Zalgo costume. I'm not even lying to you.
Just now?
Yes, I got a picture of the Rake and Zalgo costumes from Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, man, the Rake and Zalgo are also costumes that you can get at Spirit Halloween, along with Slenderman and Jeff the Killer and Laughing Jack. I feel Zalgo wasn't even really around for the OG creepypasta stuff. It's kind of newer, or at least got popular more recently.
I literally didn't even like I said, I didn't know Zalgo had a story or anything. I literally just thought it was a text. I thought it was just texting. I didn't know it was a whole thing.
Yeah, man, there's a whole cult following behind Zalgo. I was talking with Howard from DCM and Batcast and 3 Amigops. I was talking with him about Zalgo, and I said that Zalgo had the most aura out of any creepypasta. And if it was going strictly off of aura, Zalgo would be S tier. And I pulled up an image of Zalgo, and it was from like the comic that did the Loss meme. And he said, "This is your S tier? Get out of here." It was a bad image, but I mean, like, the image in the creepypasta tier list is at least a good one. It at least shows him, like, looking like an eldritch being. He was, like, not like Cthulhu, but he was, like, he looks Lovecraftian. I feel like the concept of him, like, cursing and infecting, like, media and stuff is cool in theory, but in practice, I don't know. It hasn't been executed well, but it can be. There's still very much potential for Zalgo. There's still hope yet.
Zalgo invented Skibbity Toilet.
Already, I want to put it in F tier just because of that.
Z tier.
I'm going into, like, the Greek alphabet. I'm going into, like, pi tier.
Bro's putting it in Delta. Oh my god, you're putting it in
tier.
Sigma.
No way.
Put it in Sigma tier.
In all honesty, though, I'm feeling C tier.
I feel like that's fair. I like I said, I really didn't know much about Zalgo before this. I didn't know he had, like, a whole story and whatnot, and it's just like, okay, I guess, like, the concept's cool, but C for cool.
The execution, not so much. Zalgo, C tier. All right, and that was the creepypasta tier list. How do you feel about the ranking?
We hated a lot more of them than I thought we would. Or not hated, like, we rated them, like, critically.
There's only, like, 11 that we rated positively. There's 5 that we were neutral on, and then the rest we did not care for.
Because it's like, if you go and account for, like, nostalgia, or, like, how much you actually like it, or, like, maybe, like, even just the images associated with them and how much they scare you versus, like, the actually, like, written stories, the ratings would be a lot different.
Based on the way we ranked them today, S tier, we have Candle Cove, The Rake, Robert the Doll, and Slenderman. A tier, we have Ben Drowned, Laughing Jack, The Russian Sleep Experiment, and Smile Dog. B tier, we have Abandoned by Disney, Hero Brian, and Polybius. C tier, we have 1999, Dead Bart, Lavender Town, Tails Doll, and Zalgo. D tier, we have Crybaby Lane, Mario, Momo, Red Mist, and Titty Toby. And F tier, we have Eyeless Jack, Happy Appy, Jeff the Killer, NES Godzilla, Evil Otto, Rap Rat, Ronald McDonald House, and Sonic.exe.
Yeah, we're massive haters.
That's going to come in handy for later episodes, but for now, I think we should just wrap this up. Thank you for calling tonight, Lily. Thank you for ranking these with me. Is there any last words you'd like to say to the audience?
I think everyone in the world should have the picture of Squidward from Red Mist in their camera roll as a reaction image, just in case. And I think my Discord profile picture should be considered the newest creepypasta.
I agree. I think you should send your Discord profile picture to me so I can put it in.
I will.
All right. Thank you, Lily, and good night. And I'll catch you guys next time.